Welcome to the 21st Sports Recap and Reaction for the Buffalo Bills at the Tennessee Titans in their Week 5 matchup played October 11, 2015. We're going to go over every score, and we're going to go over the stats, and we're going to give our breakdown and analysis. So starting off in this game, in the first quarter, it was scoreless, as this was a low-scoring defensive battle between these two teams. And then in the second quarter, less than a minute in, Ryan Suckup put the first points on the scoreboard with a 21-yard field goal to make it 3-0 Tennessee over Buffalo. So that would be the only score of the first half, as this was the lowest scoring game going into halftime in Week 5. So then in the third quarter, with about 7 minutes left in the third, Antonio Andrews punches it in from a yard out, and Suckup adds the extra point, and it was now 10-0 Tennessee over Buffalo. So then with about a minute and a half, less than a minute and a half left in the third quarter, Tyrod Taylor would run it 22 yards into the end zone for the touchdown, and preceding that run, he had a 24-yard run where he set up that play. And so two big 20-plus yards on that drive, capped off with that 22-yard touchdown by Tyrod Taylor. T-Mobile getting in the end zone for the first points for the Bills in this game. Dan Carpenter added the extra points, make it a 3-point game with the score Tennessee 10, Buffalo 7 after 3 quarters of play. So now in the fourth quarter, with a little over 9.5 left in the game, Ryan Suckup would kick his second field goal of the game, this one from 41 yards out, and that would extend Tennessee's lead to 6 with the score Titans 13, Bills 7. So then the Bills would get the ball, and on this drive, it was about, on this, right after responding to the field goal, they actually were faced with a 3rd and 23 from their own 7-yard line, and T-Mobile, Tyrod Taylor, rushes it 24 yards for his third 20-plus yard rush of this game, picking up the first down and extending this drive that looked to go 3 and out until that 24-yard run by Taylor. So that gave them life, and they would drive all the way down the field, 80 yards on the drive, as they had been pushed back, as they had started off at the 20. But after that 3rd and 23 converted with that 24-yard run, they go all the way down the field in 8 plays in about 4 minutes with about 5.5 left in the game. Tyrod Taylor hooks up with Chris Hogan for a 2-yard touchdown. And with the extra point by Carpenter, Buffalo was in the lead for the first time in this game, up by 1 with the score Bills 14, Titans 13. So quite a play there by Tyrod Taylor to get that drive going, and to just take it from the depths of what looked like it was about to be in a 3 and out, but they turned it into a touchdown drive. So now the Titans would get the ball, and they would actually extend their drive with the penalty against Buffalo, but after 5 plays, they would have to punt the ball, and so now the Bills would take over on their own 36, but after a 3rd and 3 from the 43, Tyrod Taylor being sacked by Dan Morgan, and now it was a 3 and out for Buffalo, and so they would have to punt the ball back to the Titans with about a minute and a half left to play in this game, a 1-point game, still 14-13. So now Tennessee took over down by 1 with about a minute 40 on the clock on their own 31. Marcus Mariota drops back, and he's intercepted by Gilmore. And so the Buffalo Bills get the ball back, and all that was left to do was for Tyrod Taylor to take 3 knees in the victory formation as the Bills hold on to win this one in exciting fashion in this defensive low-scoring battle. Only 27 total points in the game with the final score 14-13. Buffalo now 2-0 on the road, 3-2 on the season. Tennessee 1-3 on the season. They are winless at home at 0-2 in Tennessee. So what a win by the Bills, coming up clutch in the second half, as they were shut out in the first half, as it was just 3-0 Tennessee at halftime, but the Bills put up 14 in the second half. Tennessee also getting their only offensive touchdown of the game in the second half as well. But Tyrod Taylor, in the final 15 plus minutes of this game, come out with those 2 touchdowns with those 3 20-plus yard rushing plays. He was the leading rusher for the Bills. They said he had that 24-yard run, and then the 22-yard touchdown, and then another 24-yard run on 3rd and 23. Coming up big time, super clutch when they needed it the most. And in this game, Tyrod Taylor was just 10 of 17 for 109 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. He had 8 carries, though, for 76 yards in this game, which gave him 185 total yards, and he had a rushing touchdown, giving him 2 total touchdowns in the game. Marcus Mariota, 21 for 32, 187 passing yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. He had 5 carries for 47 yards in the game, which gave him 134 total yards 234 total yards in the game. And he did, like I said, no touchdowns, the 1 interception. And he was the leading rusher for Tennessee as well. So both teams, their leading rushers were quarterbacks. Of course, the Bills without McCoy or Williams, as they were both injured and did not play. And we look at the receivers. Not really big numbers on offense. It was not much offense in this game. It was all about defense. These two teams have very solid defenses. Buffalo is known to have a good defense. Tennessee's defense is kind of underrated. But they played a very good game throughout the game, especially in the first half. But just T-Mobile making those big plays down the stretch. But Chris Hogan, 3 receptions for 52 yards for Buffalo. And Antonio Andrews, 3 receptions for 45 yards for the running back. He also had 7 carries for just 9 yards, giving 54 total yards in the game. And for the kickers, Suckup 2 for 2 on the field goals, 1 for 1 on the extra points. Carpenter 2 for 2 on the extra points. He did not attempt any field goals. Graham had 8 tackles for Buffalo in this game. Kyle Williams with a sack. Also, Mario Williams, Super Mario, had a sack as well for the Bills. And Gilmore coming up with that interception. And that was right there at the final possession for the Titans when he got that pick off as he came up clutch. As the defense played big for Buffalo in this game. Williamson for Tennessee, 7 tackles and a sack. Casey had 1.5 sacks, and Morgan had 1.5 sacks, and Woods had a forced fumble. For the team stats, 17 first downs for the Titans, just 13 for Buffalo. On third downs, 5 of 13 for Tennessee, converting 38%, 4 of 12 for Buffalo, 33% converted. Total net yards, 276 for the Titans, 209 for the Bills. On the ground, 127 netted for Buffalo, 97 netted for Tennessee on the ground. And through the air, 179 for Tennessee. Mariota sacked twice for a total of 8 yards lost. And for the Bills, just 82 net passing yards. As Tyrod Taylor, under heavy pressure, sacked 4 times for a total of 31 yards lost. And for the penalties, 9 penalties against the Titans for a total of 74 yards. 7 against Buffalo, 62 yards penalized. And in the red zone, the Bills 1 for 1, 100% in the red zone. Tennessee just 1 for 2, 50%. Of course, that would be part of the difference, is they only lost by 1 point. If they had gotten just those 3 or 4 more points, if they had converted both of their red zone trips, then it would have been a different outcome. And in the game, though, the Titans 35 minutes and 31 seconds of possession, 24 minutes, 29 seconds for Buffalo. This is quite the defensive battle. Tennessee looking like they had this one in hand until the final 15 minutes of the game. Tyrod Taylor finally puts some points on the board. As Tennessee was, they had the shutout until that moment. With just a minute 20 left when Taylor scored on that 22-yard run. Like I said, he just keeps at it. He's quite the competitor. He only threw the ball 17 times. And if you take away those 3 20-plus yard rushes, he had 5 rushes for 6 yards. But on 3 rushes, he had 70 yards. He had 2 rushes for 24 yards and a 22-yard touchdown run. As he came up big time when they needed him the most. And that's the thing, he's protecting the ball. And the defense of Buffalo coming up big, shutting down Tennessee. Also getting that clutch interception there on Tennessee's final possession, giving the ball back to Buffalo, and all they had to do then was just take the 3 knees. So the Bills' defense coming up big as they remain undefeated on the road. And they're looking pretty good on defense and get a big win against Tennessee. Tennessee, they're still growing. They do show a lot of promise, as their defense is playing really good. Mariota, he's still just a rookie, but he's hanging in there. He did a pretty good job, all things considered, but he wasn't able to really get too much going on offense against a really tough Buffalo defense. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend. And enjoy all the sports.